Welcome to Moonlight Recaps, where we delve into movie recaps, film recaps, and do an in-depth analysis to give you story explanations, movie explanations, and full movie retellings. Today's movie recap is The Cloverfield Paradox. Let's dive in. In 2028, the government announces that the world's energy resources will be fully exhausted within 5 years. To solve this problem, they decide to test the Shepard particle accelerator aboard the orbiting Cloverfield station. This experiment, if successful, promises to provide Earth with infinite energy. Ava Hamilton, a British engineer, is initially reluctant to leave her husband, Michael, behind. They are still grieving the loss of their children to a fire and need to work on their relationship. However, Michael convinces her to join the Shepard mission, arguing that the survival of humanity depends on finding a solution, even if it takes years. Ava joins an international crew comprising American Commander Jason, German physicist Ernst, Brazilian Dr. Monk, Irish engineer Gordon, Russian engineer Sasha, and Chinese engineer Ling. The team works well together but struggles to activate the Shepard accelerator, repeatedly failing over the next 2 years. Throughout this time, Ava keeps in touch with Michael through video calls. Meanwhile, the mood aboard the station is tense as it is revealed that they only have enough power for 3 more activation attempts. The news from Earth is equally grim, with oil wars breaking out. Conspiracy theorists claim that the Shepard accelerator is dangerous and could tear open portals to parallel universes, potentially bringing monsters to Earth. Despite these tensions, the crew regains their focus for the 47th test. With meticulous calculations and care, they finally manage to initiate a beam, but it immediately overloads and explodes. The entire station shakes violently, throwing the crew around. Power goes out and a fire starts near the Shepard accelerator. Ernst manages to extinguish the fire by opening the ventilation vents into space, but fixing the power proves difficult, as the system appears scrambled. Eventually, they manage to restore power using the backup system, but their main power source is fried. With the oxygen tanks leaking and reserves running critically low, Ava tries to contact Earth for help, only to receive no response. Shockingly, when the engineers check the communication system, they discover that Earth is nowhere to be found. The crew speculates that the Shepard accelerator may have thrown them across the galaxy. This revelation sparks another round of arguments among the crew as they search for someone to blame for the malfunction. Jason steps in to diffuse the tension, reminding everyone that their priority is survival. Each member is assigned repair tasks, but when Ava and Sasha go to check the gyroscope, they find it missing. Strange occurrences persist, with Sasha feeling something moving under his skin and eerie groaning noises emanating from a wall. When the crew removes a panel, they discover a woman named Mina painfully trapped among the wires, calling out Ava's name. They free her and rush her to the infirmary, where Monk sedates her to ease her pain. Meanwhile, on Earth, Michael is awakened by violent shaking and witnesses distant explosions. On the space station, tensions rise as Ernst secretly plans to meet Ling to discuss taking control of the mission, unbeknownst to Jason. Sasha overhears their conversation. As they work on repairs, Ernst's frustration erupts, leading to a confrontation with Ling. Ling emphasizes the importance of teamwork for survival. Meanwhile, strange occurrences persist on the station, including the foosball table moving on its own and mysterious disappearance of worms from the greenhouse. On the other hand, Sasha becomes increasingly paranoid, convinced something is moving under his skin. Suddenly, Sasha's left eye begins moving on its own, and he starts talking to himself in a disturbing manner. He heads to the 3D printer, creates a gun, and uses it to threaten Ernst and Ling, accusing them of being part of a secret plot. As Sasha talks, he starts coughing and unexpectedly vomits, collapsing to the floor in convulsions. Then, Sasha vomits up the missing worms and dies. Terrified, Ava retreats to her room to avoid a breakdown, but returns when she hears Mina has woken up. Jason is cautious about Mina, but Ava approaches her to ask why she's there. Mina is equally confused, saying she's been on the station for 2 years and knows everyone except for Ling. Ava explains that Ling is the Shepard engineer, but Mina claims that's her job and that Ava was supposed to be on Earth. Mina insists that Ava was the team's civilian coordinator and that they were friends. but Ava has no memory of her. Mina gets distressed that no one recognizes her. She clings to Ava and whispers that Ernst sabotaged the ship. When Jason hears this, he checks the system and finds emails proving Ernst is a spy. Jason confronts and beats Ernst before locking him up, despite Ernst's protests of innocence. Meanwhile, on Earth, widespread destruction is reported. Michael drives to the hospital while trying to contact the base to send a message to Ava, only to learn they've lost contact with the station. Michael suddenly stops his car when he sees a giant shadow moving away from a destroyed house, where a young girl named Molly is screaming for help. He rescues her but learns the hospital has been destroyed too. Back on the station, Gordon is working on repairs when a strange hole appears on the wall and swallows his arm. The hole moves around the wall, dragging Gordon with it. Jason and Ava hear his cries and manage to pull him free, but Gordon is horrified to find that his arm is gone. Monk examines Gordon's missing arm but can't find any clues, especially since Gordon insists it doesn't even hurt. He calls the crew, and everyone gathers to see Gordon's arm crawling on the floor. Gordon swears he isn't controlling it, so the crew traps the arm under a glass box. Ernst explains that this proves the conspiracy theorists were right. The Cloverfield paradox is real. The arm starts making writing gestures, and the crew gives it a pen. The arm writes a message instructing them to check inside Sasha. They do as the arm says and find the missing gyroscope inside Sasha's stomach. They quickly put it back in the system and manage to fix the scrambled systems, revealing that the station had been flipped upside down and moved during the explosion. Once these issues are resolved, they locate Earth again. While they can't send messages yet, they can receive signals from the planet. The news clips that appear on the screen are bizarre, mentioning a 14-month-old world war caused by the destruction of the Cloverfield station, which supposedly fell into the ocean. Ernst realizes that the crew in the station have jumped into a different universe where the original crew is dead except for Mina. Ernst wants to fix Shepard and fire it again to return home, but Monk and Gordon want to help the people on this Earth. Ling disagrees, believing it's too late to help, and that they should return to prevent this war from happening in their own universe. Ernst stops the argument by pointing out that returning is their only option because the longer they stay, the more bizarre the effects they'll experience. Later, Monk checks on Mina, who reveals that her own station failed when the Shepard overloaded. She realizes that the crew is from a parallel dimension. Ernst and Ling suspect condensation caused the problem, so Ling goes to fix the ventilation. The solution works, but Ling gets trapped when the door locks and water floods in. Ernst, Ava, and Jason try to help, but they can't open the door manually. The water pressure eventually bursts the door open, but Ling is pulled into space and dies. After grieving, Ernst insists they continue repairs, highlighting Ling's death as proof of the danger. Without Ling, Ava suggests Mina might have similar knowledge. Meanwhile, on Earth, Michael thinks the paradox Ava mentioned is causing the chaos. While he contacts the police, the shelter shakes, and they hear a monster roar. In the station, Mina is released from the infirmary and agrees to help, needing access to Ernst's research. Despite objections, they agree, as this Ernst is dead. Mina needs a lot of power, so they start working on it while Ava takes her to her room. Ava learns from Mina that in this reality, her children are alive, and she stayed with them. As the crew discusses how to power up Shepard, they consider a risky move, temporarily shutting down the oxygen supply to generate enough power. This would give them a 2-hour window to get Shepard running again. Once back in their universe, Shepard should provide the power needed to restore oxygen. But Ava interrupts, asking Jason for permission to go to Earth to see her kids. Jason warns her about the risks, including encountering her alternate self, but he eventually agrees. Meanwhile, Gordon shuts down the oxygen tanks. Shepard starts up, but Gordon faces strange magnetic disturbances. His tools are pulled away, and the metallic sand he used earlier traps him against the wall. Then, the magnetic field triggers the oxygen tanks to explode, causing a massive blast on the Shepard. Mina alerts the crew about the worsening stability of the maintenance deck, urging them to decouple it quickly for their safety. Ava, Jason, and Monk prepare for the dangerous mission, but Ernst attempts to reconcile with Mina, who remains distant. They discover the maintenance ring is jammed, forcing them to jettison it. While Monk and Ava explore remote solutions, Jason stays behind to lock the door manually, sacrificing himself to protect his crew. Meanwhile, on Earth, Michael receives news that Molly's parents have been located, prompting him to record a farewell message to Ava. Back on the station, Ernst reveals they have only 43 minutes of oxygen left. With Jason gone, Ava takes charge, planning to fire Shepard twice, first to overload it and return them home, then to power the station. She allows Monk and Ernst to return to Earth, but plans to leave with Mina on a pod. However, Mina double-crosses Ava, knocking her out and attempting to leave her stranded in space while she pursues the others. Ava regains consciousness in time to thwart the launch and confront Mina. In the ensuing struggle, Monk is fatally shot by Mina, who then targets Ernst but only injures him, needing him to operate the Shepard. Ava intervenes, engaging in a fierce battle with Mina, eventually overpowering her and ejecting her into space. With only Ava and Ernst remaining, Ava tends to Ernst's wounds and sends a message to her Earth self, warning about the fire and emphasizing family. They overload the Shepard, initiating the beam to transport them back between dimensions. They contact the base, confirm the Shepard's functionality, and receive permission to return. As they prepare to depart for Earth, Michael, consumed by fear, pleads with authorities not to let Ava come back. As the pod nears Earth, a colossal monster emerges from the clouds with a thunderous roar, casting uncertainty over Ava and Ernst's return. This is where the movie concludes. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps.